Known each other? Like
Almost 20 years.
But we've known each other a really long time. So I'm excited to sit down with you at this moment because I've sat down with you throughout your career and I've seen all sorts of iterations of it. I would argue this is the most important seat you have sat in.
For sure.
The stakes feel really high. We are in this moment where we're wondering if this technological innovation is going to be incredible for all of us or incredible for some of us. Do you feel that?
Yeah, I mean, we are clearly entering the phase where AI is going to be one of the high order bits of how our future society gets shaped. And I think people feel all of the excitement, fear, anxiety, hope, nervousness all at once.
I'd love to go back to when I met you, like in 2010. This is long before the release of ChatGPT and AI's integration into the world. I remember I was just a cub reporter and I was obsessed with this thing called startups that people weren't really talking too much about. It wasn't normal to get into a stranger's car, that's Uber, by the way, or sleep in a stranger's home, that's Airbnb. And it was just this really interesting moment where the iPhone had come out, the App Store had launched, and you could have this idea and you could code it into the hands of millions of people. It didn't feel like tech feels today. It felt anti-establishment. It felt a little bit punk rock. And so I just want to ground this. And I met you at that moment, right? I met you on a random bench to put you on camera for the first time. You had a geolocation app called Looped. And it was a moment in time. You didn't have a massive company. You didn't have PR people. It was just like, you, I assume like a handful of folks building out this thing that you thought could be the future. Tell me how you would describe yourself then and that moment in time before we get to this moment now, which is just so incredibly different.
The world had really changed. You could make mobile apps. A whole new kind of startup potential had unleashed itself. And it did feel kind of like, punk rock is a nice way of saying it, but like chaotic, unorganized, unprofessional. Like most of us didn't really know what we were doing. And, now it's been more systematized and startups feel very different and they raise a ton of money right away and they grow really fast. And there's like a playbook that's been figured out. But it almost felt like that was like the pre-paradigm stage. And it felt really fun. It kind of felt like we all didn't know what we were doing, but clearly something was working. So I look back on that phase with like a very pleasant nostalgia.
Yeah.
Also, the stakes felt so low. That was nice too.
I think that was something I was thinking about when I was sitting here thinking about coming to meet you today. Like I've interviewed you at many points in your career and it just feels like, the stakes are so high now. Let's go back to the last time I interviewed you. It was 2020. You're the CEO of OpenAI at the time, but it's before you guys had launched ChatGPT. You said something to me that I think was really interesting to hear back now that I want to play for you really quick.
I may be wrong, but what I actually believe is we're going to create this technology that is more transformative than any technology humans have ever created, and almost no one is paying attention or talking about it. I really genuinely believe that this is going to change the world in unrecognizable ways. It's going to make what we talked about happening earlier with the iPhone look like a warm-up, and we got to talk about that.
Okay. I think you were right.
Yeah, it was pretty accurate.
I think that was pretty accurate. So let's fast forward.
The thing that's amazing is like just how that's 6 years.
That was 6 years ago.
So much. That's not very long.
Yeah.
And and at the time I think that probably sounded like a crazy thing to say. That was like pre-GPT. I mean, maybe we had GPT-3. It depends when in the year that was. But a lot has happened very quickly.
Yeah. And I think that's what you talk about with the rate of acceleration, and which is why you talk about the stakes. We talk about the stakes being so high. So like now it's 2026, OpenAI is reportedly valued at like $1 trillion. You're now for profit, no longer a nonprofit, and you're building one of the most powerful technologies in human history. And the company is incredibly valuable.
Yeah.
So you talked a little bit